Breaking news on deadline day, Liverpool have agreed a British record £125 million deal for Newcastle striker Alexander Isak.
Start as you mean to go on. Hello there, good morning. Welcome along to what could be the most dramatic deadline day in years.
And we've got you covered right here on Sky Sports News. Just sit back and enjoy the ride.
Sit back and enjoy a bit of Charlie Austin as well. He's here until 10 o'clock. All his reaction to the big breaking stories.
Well, it's transfer deadline day and we begin with some huge breaking news on Alexander Isak. After late night negotiations, Liverpool have agreed a British record £125 million deal for the Newcastle striker, which could bring an epic saga to an end.
We've got both sides of the story. Pete Graves is at Newcastle for us, but we start at Liverpool's training ground and join Vinny O'Connor. Vinny, bring us up to speed, please. Training ground. And join Vinny O'Connor. Vinny, bring us up to speed, please.
Yes, well, we know that Liverpool's spending is going to continue. And again, they are spending big. They are going to pay Newcastle that flat fee of £125 million. It will be a British transfer record, obviously eclipsing the £110 million that Chelsea paid to Brighton. Sorry, £150 million it was, wasn't it, that Chelsea paid to Brighton for Moises Caicedo back in 2023. Alexander Isak himself has agreed a 6-year deal with Liverpool. He's now due to undergo a medical. That medical is due to get underway this morning as well. There was a lot of talk around Anfield actually yesterday. He was in a hotel around about 20 minutes drive away from where Liverpool were taking on Arsenal and ultimately taking 3 points in that battle of last season's top two, of course, as well. And you mentioned the fact that this has been a transfer saga throughout the summer. Of course, Liverpool having that £110 million bid for Alexander Isak rejected by Newcastle earlier in the window. Newcastle were looking for around about the £150 million mark, but obviously they have reached a compromise on the fee. Also helped by the fact that Newcastle look to be getting a striker through the door as well in terms of an ideal replacement for Alexander Isak, and that ultimately has helped this deal along as well. And we're just looking at when Alexander Isak can start really making an impact for Liverpool. Of course, he is 25 years of age. He will turn 26 next month, of course. Newcastle paid £63 million for him back in 2022 to Real Sociedad. 54 Premier League goals in 86 Premier League appearances. Only 8 of those appearances as substitute as well. But looking at what Liverpool have got coming up after this international break, well, first of all, it is Burnley away. Then it's Atletico Madrid at home in the Champions League. His first potential home game for Liverpool could come in no bigger occasion, really, than a Merseyside derby at Anfield as well. And then after that, it's Palace away, Galatasaray away, before Chelsea away at the start of October. So all gearing up very nicely for the start of Alexander Isak's Liverpool career. He has obviously still got to put pen to paper as yet, complete that medical. But of course, the set fee is £125 million, and he is set to become a Liverpool player on deadline day.
Big fee, big news. Thank you very much, Vinny.
Let's cross live to Newcastle and speak to Pete Graves. Pete, good morning. Newcastle get a British record fee, but how will Isak be remembered there?
Hi, Julia. I think, unfortunately, Isak will be remembered largely by the way he's acted this summer and not by his performances to the last couple of seasons on the pitch. A lot of disappointment up here, I think, from supporters, but also within the club, you would imagine, at the way that this has played out, with a player refusing to go on pre-season tours and refusing to play in matches. And ultimately, despite the fact that Liverpool came in with that £110 million bid a couple of months ago now, where they feel like they've stood firm and ended up getting a fee, as we said, set fee of £125 million. But as far as Newcastle United are concerned, the total package worth just north of £130 million to Newcastle United. So they're relatively happy with the fee they've ended up getting, when there was a time, maybe a few days ago, where they thought that they might not see Liverpool return to the table. But they feel that they're happy with the fee that they've got for a player who clearly didn't want to be here. He's not played in any of the opening 3 games, of course. So as far as the squad are concerned, they're not losing a player who's been playing for them. They're losing someone who's not being involved at all. And
Thomason was very clear about this. He can't play 90 whole minutes, but he can change the game. He's an amazing guy. Guys, let's talk about the most controversial part of this story. Alexander Isak, just 25, made a decision that divided opinion in the football world. He refused to play for Newcastle and basically went on strike to force a transfer to Liverpool. Guys, of course, every situation has two sides. Part of this story. From Isak's perspective, Alexander likely saw Liverpool as a unique opportunity to play a decision that divided opinion in the Premier League champions. He refused to play for Newcastle at a high level and basically went on strike to force a transfer to Liverpool. Thomason made some very revealing statements about the situation. He said, and I quote, "Everyone in the world has read all the headlines over the last few weeks, and even today, nothing has been confirmed yet. And here's a statement that says a lot about the player's character." Thomason said, and here comes an interesting, extremely professional and has a great mindset. Thomason. He's very stable of the Swedish national team, so we're not worried despite all this drama. But here's what makes called up to the national team last week. This transfer is due to play in the matches against Slovenia and Kosovo. It was the last straw in a saga that dominated the entire European summer. Imagine the situation. A player who cost Newcastle dearly, who had a current contract, simply said, "Ken, I'm not playing here anymore," to get what he wanted. This raises serious questions about the power of players in modern football, about contracts, and about how far an athlete is willing to go to get what he wants. Sweden coach speaks. Tom, more intimate. Professionalism in the midst of chaos. Let's get to the facts. Liverpool and Newcastle have closed a $125 million deal, around $169 million for Alexander Isak. To give you an idea of what that means, this transfer breaks Argentine football's previous record of $107 million, paid by Chelsea by Enzo in 2023. Newcastle lost one of their main players in a very difficult way, but at least earned a record amount of money that can be reinvested in the squad. Most interestingly, Thomason revealed that he spoke to Isak yesterday and this morning, and that he expects the player to join the national team immediately after completing his medical exams at Liverpool. One thing that stands out throughout this story is how Isak managed to maintain professionalism, even in the midst of this chaotic situation. The agreement of $1 billion. Isak has already been seen arriving at Liverpool's training center, the famous AXA training center for medical examinations. According to the latest news, everything must be confirmed before the transfer window closes. And here comes an interesting character. Jon Dahl Tomasson, coach of the Swedish national team. Despite all this drama, Isak was called up to the national team last week and is due to play in the matches against Slovenia and Kosovo. And here's what I find most touching in the Swedish coach's statement. The most important thing for us here in Sweden is that he wants to be on this team. He wants a lot. He wants to play well. And he wants to qualify for the World Cup. He's in a great state of mind. This shows that, despite all the drama with the clubs, Isak maintains the focus and love for his country's national team. Liverpool doesn't go that way. But the story does not end with Isak. Liverpool are not just satisfied with this record signing. They are also looking to sign Mark Guehi, defender for Crystal Palace and the England national team. The Reds made a $35 million offer for the defender. I've talked about his character many times. He's very professional. And there are growing hopes that the deal could also be finalized on the last day of the transfer window. Of course, Crystal Palace boss Oliver Glasner has already said that it would be impossible to replace a player of Guehi's quality before the transfer window closes. But in football, especially on the day of the transfer deadline, anything can happen. If Liverpool manages to make those two signings, they will have had an absolutely spectacular transfer window. Guys, Isak's transfer represents much more than just a player switching clubs. It demonstrates the evolution of players' power in modern football, the astronomical amounts that are being moved, and how a single decision can change the course of several clubs and even a career. $125 million for a 25-year-old player. Whatever your opinion of these values, one thing is certain. Football will never be the same again. What do you think of this transfer? Isak worth that much? Did Liverpool make a good deal or pay too dearly? Comment down below. Thanks for watching this episode and see you next time.